Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here again with Wahala Part 2. This is organized by Coming King Revival Ministry. And for those of us who do not know about Coming King Revival Ministry, this is a non-denominational group who is into building people up so they can flourish in their ministry and make impact wherever they are. And this is one of our relationship desk programs. So we did Wahala Part 1, which was about God's intention for man, why God created man and woman. And this is Wahala Part 2. Wahala Part 2, we are going to look at love and respect amidst conflict. You know, God says that in Ephesians 5:33, that nevertheless let each one of you in particular so love his own wife as himself, and let the wife see that he respects her husband. Now, God's intention was that man and woman together would take dominion, and for two people to be able to do things together, there has to be a bonding. And companionship is one thing that brings about the bonding. However, you realize that it appears as if when two people work for long, the love is dying or the bond is breaking. Why? Most of the time, maintaining that bond is where most of us are struggling with. And the bond is breaking because of offenses, unmet needs, expectations, culture. So basically life is breaking because we are in life and life happens. So when we go into conflict, which is unavoidable, how do we manage ourselves? That is what we are going to look at. Because unresolved issues lead to resentment and leads to abuse and even breakups. So today we are going to learn about how to manage our conflict. It is important that we improve our soft skills. Basically, skills to help us deal with conflict and get understanding what exactly happens when we are in conflict. You know, the Bible again says in Ecclesiastes 10:10. In fact, that is a very favorite verse of mine. That if the axe is dull and its edge unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success. So when we learn the skill to deal with conflict, our lives become better. Why should we struggle when we can learn something? And the Bible also says that wisdom is a principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And in all you are getting, get understanding. So when we get understanding, we'll be able to handle our conflicts better. So we will also be talking about when conflict is not resolved. There's something called the crazy cycle, which can lead to breakups and even domestic violence. Or domestic abuse. We'll throw more light about that. Now, statistics is showing that 1 out of every 4 women go through some kind domestic abuse. And during the COVID lockdown, the abuse was even higher. Now, I have here 2 wonderful individuals who's going to help me with the discussion today. On my immediate left is Engineer Kwame Opokudapa. He's a member of Coming King Revival Ministry, and he wears a lot of hats too. And he loves relationships, and so he loves talking about relationships. And next to him is Mrs. Elsie Foster, who is also a relationship expert. And together, you're going to help me with this discussion today. But before we get into the discussion, we have a short play we want to show to help us bring out some of the points.
Yeah, babe, your phone.
Okay, babe, thank you.
I hope you send the rent to the landlord today.
Today? But babe, we discussed this thing yesterday.
Yesterday? When?
Yes, when we were watching television in the evening.
I don't remember us discussing anything.
Of course. Why will you remember? Whilst I was talking to you, also on your phone. I don't know whatever you were doing.
But I just saw a Momo alert to your mom. You sent money to your mom. It means you have money to pay the rent.
Babe, let's keep my mom out of this.
Why should we keep your mom out of this? You are always sending money to your mom, your dad, always sending Momo to people. But you cannot pay the rent. All you don't care about anything in this house. All you care about is sending Momo to your family. You don't care about anything in this house. Why?
Babe.
I don't want any embarrassment too.
Babe.
The landlord is disturbing me. The embarrassment is too much. Everybody. I'm sure that's your brother. He also wants Momo, Pick and let's listen to him.
Yeah, hello, Charlie. What be the action?
Yeah, the money offer.
Hello?
I'm sure he also wants money. He's asking you about the money. So you're going to send him to him. You're going to send it to him and leave us stranded here. We need money to pay our rent. I don't want any embarrassment from the landlord. Please. All you care about is sending money to people. Whilst we need money in this house. You don't care about me. You don't care about... The landlord has always been embarrassing me. The embarrassment is too much. It's too much.
Listen, can I just go to work? Let's talk about this thing later, okay? When I come back or something. Oh, Charlie. Yeah, Kwame, Charlie, what's up?
Yeah, then the network drop.
Yeah.
The money I take send, you say take send mommy. You can't give them.
Oh, yeah. I send give her this morning too, no. I send go give her.
Oh, okay, nice. All right, then. Thanks.
Okay, Charlie, we go vibe.
Okay.
Babe, I'm sorry for what happened this morning. Please forgive me. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know your brother sent the money for you to send to your mom. I thought the money was yours. Please forgive me. Okay, please.
The way you spoke to me this morning, it wasn't okay at all. That was very, very disrespectful. I'm not a responsible person. The way you spoke to me you spoke to me anyhow. It wasn't the best. Honestly, it wasn't the best.
I'm really sorry for the way I spoke to you this morning. I'm very, very sorry. Please forgive me. Okay.
I know the rent is due, but yes, I'll pay it at the end of the month. That's when I'll have money. Then I'll pay. But the way you spoke to me this morning, it wasn't the best.
Am I forgiven?
I'll think about it.
Oh, babe. Please forgive me. Okay. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Don't do that. Please forgive me now. Don't do that. You know I love you. Don't do that. I'm sorry for misunderstanding you. Don't do that.
Okay, you are forgiven.
We are back. That was very interesting, wasn't it? Okay, so I'm going to be engaging my two wonderful people here. Okay, so what is conflict and is it avoidable? I'm throwing it at you. Anybody can start. What is conflict and is it avoidable?
Ladies first.
So conflict is a situation, any situation between any two groups. But in relation to what we are talking about, this between a married couple, in which they disagree on issues. And it could be an issue that has to do with their expectations or their needs, or even something they are just discussing. It can be that trivial. It can be something that's happening at home, like pressing on the tube of toothpaste and not doing so rightly, or using the loo. The man may not have put the seat down, so it could stem from that. So it can be something trivial or something very serious, and they not agreeing on it, and how they handle it may make it okay, or it will go bad. Escalate. Yeah, escalate and go bad. Wow.
Engineer, do you want to add anything?
Oh, conflict basically is an argument, like she said, in a relationship But the only thing we should know that conflict can be caused either by a sin or perception, or it's not necessary that any conflict is as a result of something that is bad.
Yeah.
It can result out of preference. I prefer blue, you prefer white, and we are arguing over it. It's a conflict in the relationship. And for relationships to grow, conflicts are necessary because we are from different backgrounds, different, upbringing, and we are trying to relate.
So if I get everybody right, conflict is unavoidable, and it can stem from anything. It doesn't have to be something serious. And from the skit we're watching, it's like we're talking about rent. So it can be something big, something small. So then that means we need to learn how to manage conflict since it's unavoidable. So what is conflict management, and why is it a skill that everybody needs? It's not like some people need, but everybody who ever plans to be in a relationship, married or married, needs.
Okay, so when we talk about conflict management, basically it's how well you manage your conflict. You manage the disagreement in the home or between a relationship. And it's a skill that you need to develop, because if you don't manage the conflict well, it can result into a breakup. It can result into a divorce. So in as much as we are gathering our degrees, our masters, and our PhDs, we need to also gather the skill of of managing conflicts in the home. So it's a skill that we need to acquire.
Right.
Yes.
You want to add anything?
As Mami said, it's something that we really have to make the effort to learn about, because someone may not be naturally patient, may be hot-tempered, and so when conflicts come, the natural self will take over. So you need to learn how to manage your hot-temperedness, you know, so that you don't blow things out of proportion. Someone may not be really good at listening, which is a key thing to have. You need to be able to listen, go beyond your emotions, and pick out what your partner is talking about. So if you don't learn how to school yourself and tame your emotions, and that means that you have to be emotionally intelligent. Be able to know who you are emotionally, so that you can calm yourself down, be patient enough to listen to your partner. If you don't do that, your emotions will rule what is going on. Yeah. So it's an important skill to have, because it demands patience, it demands respect, it demands love.
Wow.
And amongst other things. Yeah.
Okay, so if I should add to what she just said, if we look at the scenario we just watched, you could see that the man was not quick to react. He was calm. Although the wife was was throwing tantrums, the husband was cool, you know. So and in managing a conflict, you should be able to you should be able to be cool. And you can see the man was cool, because like from Wahala Part 1, we learned the roles of a man. And the roles of a man is he's a leader. He's the one who is supposed to set the pace. He's the one who is supposed to be in charge. So you don't lead arguments. You rather try and control it. So you could see that the man was calm, although the woman was was trying to use all kind of words. And even when you look from the Bible, after Eve had sinned, God did not appear. He appeared only after the man had joined into the sin. So you could see that the man was trying to be calm. He was trying to be a man from the Bible, a Christian man who would not lead the argument on, but he will be calm and try to manage it. Thank you very much.
This is very, very interesting. It means when it comes to conflict management, it entails a lot of soft skills. It entails a lot of soft skills that we all need to learn. And I think with time we'll mention it more so that those of us who want to learn some of these soft skills will pick it up. So that means if you don't manage conflict well, it can go either positive or negative. And can we talk about that? What are some of the positive and negatives if we don't manage conflict well? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, so as Kwame drew our attention to the role of the man in the house, if the man, for instance, does not learn to take leadership even within a situation that is volatile, let me put it that way, you realize that what his reactions may be will be exactly what the wife will follow. If we look back at Wahala Part 1, we'll learn that what the man gives the woman is what she reflects back.
Wow.
You know.
Okay.
So even if she came really annoyed, really mad, and he stays calm, he keeps his cool and takes the leadership role and manages and steers how the conflict will go, she'll follow him because he's taking the lead. A woman is naturally made to look up to her man. So it's like deep calling into deep. She'll answer.
So the positive thing is that you can control the situation.
You can control the situation.
It will not get out of hand.
And it won't
to lead to all those breakups and the abuse.
Exactly.
Okay, so
but if they don't control it and it becomes volatile, it gets out of hand, that's where the tempers come in, the anger issue comes in. And before you realize, the woman is talking more than she should, and the man is getting more annoyed than he should. If he still doesn't control himself and maybe walk away, the next thing you know, maybe he's throwing his hand.
Wow.
And then there's a fight. That's where abuse comes in. Yeah.
Okay. So this is very interesting. So what exactly was the issue? I mean, looking at the play we just watched, the skit, what exactly was the issue? Exactly was the issue?
Okay, so from the play we just watched, you could notice that the main issue at hand was the rent.
Okay.
But the rent was not the issue to the woman, because she made reference that although the man said he was going to pay the rent at the end of the day, there were, how do you call it, the landlord would walk in and would exchange words with her, and she was not cool with it. That was the other side. Then the other side was that she perceived that the man was intentionally refusing to pay the bills because she cited a text message of the man sending money to the mom. So there was perception, one, emotion, two. The emotions came from the, how do you call it, the confrontation with the landlord, and the perception came from the text she saw. Wow. So now, these two coming together, now, the woman interprets things, you see, the way the women and men interpret things differently. When you read in Ephesians, it says that the man sees through a lens called respect. So anytime you are talking to a man, anything that is coming out from your mouth is passes through the mirror called, the glass called respect before it gets to him. And when and when anything is going to a woman, it passes through a mirror called love and care. So immediately it doesn't meet the love and care. It is seen as you are not doing it at all. So now the emotions from the landlord, the perception that you don't want to pay, you have to pay. When these two things passes through the glass of love and care, it looks as if the man does not care, because you don't care that someone will come and abuse me. You don't care, so you are not paying the, how they call it, the bill. So you don't love me. You see,
you rather care about somebody else.
You rather care about someone
your
else.
Family.
You rather care more of your family than you do for me. So that now became the issue. So now the issue left the rent, And now, because the rent passed through the glass of love and care, and when it was weighed, it was how they call it. It was as a result of you don't care. You don't how they call it. You don't love me. Yes.
So then that means that a man and a woman look at things differently or perceive things differently. In terms of, you talked about role, helper,
Yes.
and then leader.
Yes.
So the wife as a helper is reminding.
Yes.
So can we talk about her approach? Was her approach wrong to remind the husband about the rent? I think that's something that happens in our homes most of the time. That women or your helper reminding the head, it's as if the reminder that you set on your phone. Rent is due. Is it wrong? Or is the approach?
Okay, I think reminding the husband is not wrong. Because when you look at the play, she went like, honey, the rent. But because she was reminding with a perception, that is where the error comes in.
That's where the error comes in.
Yes, there's something, so it's like she knows how it's going to go. So she's expecting it to go in some particular way. So it's like, okay, fine, I'm going to ask him. When he says yes, cool. When he says no, I'll fire. So because she has perceived, okay, he has money, he doesn't want to pay. Okay, fine. Oh, maybe he wants to pay. Okay, maybe he doesn't want to pay. Let me ask him. So she goes in very politely, honey, when will you pay the rent? And he said, oh, I'll pay the rent next week. Then she just blows out because she knew that he has money. He doesn't want to pay. Yes.
So I think let's talk about, a lot of men complain that, or use the word, women complain too much and we are critical. And Chelsea, will you help us with that? Like complaining and critical when things are going on around. So the lady, for instance, is bringing a reminder, but in the end, it's like, is she complaining or is she being critical? Or I think the approach, can we talk more about the approach? Could it have been better, or the perception was going to be a thing that was going to block that side off?
In her role as a helper, the woman has the responsibility, let me say, and the duty to help the man to be better in whatever he does. So she will have to be his eyes, his ears, in some cases his hands and feet. And in playing that role, it brings up the responsibility of pointing out certain things he misses, or pointing out things he has to do right that he is overlooking. And that is where the men also see it as, maybe the woman will come, next week we need to pay the children's fees. She's playing her role there as a
So it appears as if we are always a voice of doom.
Something like that.
Always bringing out the negatives. You're always bringing out what has to be done.
Yes. And depending on how, depending on the man's personality, we have to take the man's temperament
and also perception too.
And perception and assumptions. I have this thing that when you are married or you are in any kind of relationships, be careful about what you assume. Until you are sure of it, don't work with it.
Because so that is what the woman did.
Yes, she saw the text and then she got out of control, in quotes, because in her mind it presumes that he has money. But then that is, later we find out that that wasn't the issue at all.
Okay.
So coming back to the question you asked, the woman naturally loves. It's not an issue. It's not a big deal. So God doesn't ask her to love her husband. The woman will find it very difficult to give the respect. So that is what God will ask her to give to her husband.
Wow.
And so when she's doing something for the husband, playing her role as a helpmate, she'll do it naturally, out of care, out of love.
Okay.
But if persistently, honey, we have to pay the fees, we have to pay the rent, nothing is forthcoming, and then borrowing from the skid, a third party comes in as a result of non-payment, abuses her, talks to her anyhow. Like he said, she'll see it as you don't care. And then the man will see her as being complaining too much because she persistently comes. The bill. So
I think I'm getting the picture.
Now, when we borrow from the skid again, it moved from reminding him about the bill and moved to criticism.
Okay.
And the criticism was, you don't take care of me and the kids. You don't care about that one. So it becomes personal.
Okay.
You don't do this. You care about something else. So it's moved
It's
totally
moving from
out of the bill place
to
addressing him as a person and how he
so
goes about.
So it's like personal attack.
Yeah.
Okay.
How he goes about his stuff. But then we have to be careful to point out that criticism can be positive and it can be negative. In this case, from the scale, it was negative. And negativity pulls you down, it wears you out, it tears you down. It doesn't make you, it doesn't point the best parts of you. So in the end, it's like telling the man that you are irresponsible.
Wow.
All right. But the positive side actually builds a person up. Oh, this thing that you are doing, you are not doing it right. You can do it in this other way. If you do it this way, it will be much better. I'm building you up. But if I come and I'm attacking, like the lady was, you don't care about me, you don't care, then that one is the negative.
I think this is it's getting very interesting. I mean, understanding brings light, as the Bible says. Engineer Kwame, I want you to talk more about, the woman kept on saying, you didn't care. Does the man really don't care? I think Elsie was talking about the man feeling teared down to disrespect. Can you talk, you being a man, can you help us throw more light on that so we understand?
Okay, so we go back to the Bible. The way the man was created, he was created as a leader. He was created to dominate. He was created to lead, to subdue. So you see, every leader demands respect. So a man is put in a role. You see, when you read the New Testament, it's like God, man, woman. So the man demands some respect. When you are talking to him, you need to remember that you need to add the word respect. Anything that you are saying to the man should pass through the glass called respect. A research was done in the University of Washington, and they they sampled 2,000 couples, and they they took them through a series of questioning and lifestyle, and they realized that all those couples who treated each other with love and respect, although they had conflicts, their marriages stood. So at the end of the day, the woman was created as a helper. She was created to be behind and guide you, the man. Because you are busily leading the ship and you will not see a lot of things. So she is supposed to guide you. And you see, when you love someone, you get so emotional. If someone wrongs you, you don't get, it doesn't affect you that much compared to when someone you love. And women are made to love. So a woman loves easily. So she loves you, the man. That is why she is attacking you. You know, women confront to to get intimate. So when a woman is confronting you, she needs your attention. It's not that she's confronting because she is necessarily disrespecting, but she's like, she feels you are not giving her the attention she needs.
Wow.
So she would But again, men, we are made to be leaders. And when you see an African man, because of our tradition, we always demand a lot of respect from our wife. There is this culture in in Zambia. When the woman comes to serve the man, the woman would have to leave and go to the kitchen for the man to eat and finish. You
Wow.
cannot sit in front of your husband whilst he's eating. So you see, so that is how we are, how do you call it? That is
That's
how we are wired.
Okay.
So we demand a lot of respect. But again, when you come to the Bible, it shouldn't be so. We are the one leading, and the women are supposed to help us. They are our helpmates. So, and we are supposed to treat them with love. You will not send someone you love to the kitchen whilst you are eating. You do want to sit together and eat with the person. That is what the Bible says.
Okay.
So the renewal of mind is very important when it comes to conflict management.
I think from what you are saying, we need to bring in tradition and culture, because we can't run away from that. Where a man, I mean, we are talking about Christian couples, so like the man understands to love, but here we are in a typical situation where when a man talks, the woman can't talk. So how will this affect conflict management, culture and tradition?
So when we look at our culture, now it's changed a bit, but when I was growing up, for instance, you are taught, both male and female, you are taught not to answer back when you are being addressed by adults. Okay. And it's something that goes all the way into marriage. So when you are with your husband, you show him all the respect, and you should know how to address him, and so on and so forth. Now it's not so much like that, because there's been enlightenment and people, females getting more educated and so on. But
there's still some lingering.
There's still some lingering, yeah. Hence the big but. There's still some, because not many people are that educated. We still have the semi-literate, the illiterate. But even within the literate, we still have that issue.
Hold on to some of it.
Yeah, and it's taken into the Christian home. But what is our standard when we get into the Christian home? It's our standard, our cultural background, and the traditions we have, or the Word of God.
I think this is a delicate balance we all need to think
Yes.
and hold that thought as we go on. From what you are saying, when we watch the skit, for instance, the man kept on saying, wait, I mean, trying to control, wait when I come back, but the woman would not budge. Was there any dynamics going on in terms of, if a man wants to withdraw, how does the woman see it? And when a woman withdraws, what does it mean? Can we throw more light on that? Was why, I mean, he kept on saying, let me go and come back, but she would not even agree. And I think we all do that. We feel like the issue has not been resolved. Why are you doing this? Can we throw more light?
So within a conflict, for instance, how I see something as a female is what will inform how I handle it. How Kwame sees things as a male is what will inform him in handling it. And we find that within, the man was trying to be the leader in the skit, but the wife wasn't budging, because for the wife, the issue had moved from rent to care, you know. So there's that cycle. In most conflicts, we find that what is the issue shifts from that.
Yeah, but the man, she will not allow the man to withdraw.
Yes, she would not allow him, because I think the man could have curtailed that one by volunteering more information.
Okay.
If the phone call had not come in, the woman would have walked away not knowing what the money thing was about. The mobile money, him sending the mobile money. But the man could have curtailed that aspect by saying, oh, that mobile money you saw, it's my brother who sent money for my mom. But he withheld that information and said, let me go to work and come. telling the woman that let me go to work and come is not answering the concerns she has.
Okay, but I'm sure he's also doing that for, okay, you being a man, can you give us insight how you people are
please let me complete. So it's like, I have a concern. When you go to work, the landlord will come back. What am I to tell the landlord? And I'm not ready for any more drama from the landlord. But if he had volunteered more information, she would have calmed down a bit and said, okay, really, there's no money, so I have to find a way of dealing with the landlord, you know. But she didn't have that information until the phone call came. So you realize that the skit ends when the phone call came. But I'm sure that if it had gone further, she would have walked away much calmer than we saw. Because now she knows what the money is all about. God says that for lack of knowledge, we perish, right?
Wow.
She didn't have that knowledge. If she did, I don't think that all that drama that she put up would have happened.
It appears as if no matter how difficult, I'm talking to those out there who are in conflict, no matter how difficult that conflict is, if you could go back and look at the issue and look at the assumptions and the perceptions, we can get headway. You know, there are some conflicts, it appears as if it's not moving at all. It's like, because there seems to be a shift. There seems to be a shift. Before I go to the shift, what exactly is domestic abuse? Because I mean, lately in the news, we are hearing a lot about domestic abuse. And from what we are talking about, you are saying that when there's conflict and it's not resolved, it can lead to domestic abuse. What exactly is domestic abuse? Is it all about beating?
No. Domestic abuse is a situation where one party seeks to control the other party. So one is kind of dominant and wants to control the other party, be it a female, a woman, wife, or the children, or even at the workplace, a subordinate. So one person or a group of people want to dominate the other ones. And it doesn't express itself only in the physical sense, as in physical abuse. There's emotional abuse. There's within the marital setting, sexual abuse, economic abuse, social abuse. When we say social abuse, where you are forbidden to see somebody, someone can come and visit you, and that different types of abuses.
This is very interesting.
There's even parental abuse when we bring it down to the level of our children within the home, where a parent, I mean, exerting control over the children can get out of hand and abuse the child. In verbal abuse is another form. So there are different types of abuses.
Very, very interesting. So I want us to go back to the cycle. We're talking about a cycle. What exactly is a crazy cycle? I mean, you guys were talking about the cycle. What exactly is a cycle or crazy cycle?
Okay, so when we talk about a crazy cycle, it's when you are resolving a conflict and the issue is not the issue, and the issue leaves the, how do you call it, the main
like the rent.
Yes, like the rent. So now it's not the rent you are talking about again. You are expressing your emotions, and the man too is, how do you call it, is reading it as disrespect. So she's disrespecting me, he doesn't love me. So it's like whatever exchange is going on, it's shifted. It's shifted from the main rent and is disrespect and love. Okay. The woman feels she's not being loved. The man feels he's being disrespected. So then it goes on and on and on. And that is where the, how do you call it, the exchange of words come in. Then now you are this, you are that, you've not done this, you didn't do this. Then
it gets worse.
Then it gets worse. Then the whole thing is, how do you call it. So like I said, from the study, they realized that all couples who applied love and respect in resolving a conflict, in the conflict itself,
Okay.
ended up with a successful marriage.
So, like what we watch right now, could it have led to abuse, domestic abuse from the skit we watched? Give us an example how something like this could lead to abuse in their home.
Before that, I'd like to illustrate what he said about the crazy cycle a little bit further.
Okay.
So it's like a female being attached to a tank or a balloon. That's what he does with her, and to her, it feeds it with love.
Okay.
It inflates it if it's a balloon. And then the male also has one that is attached to him. What she does with him inflates it with a respect that gives back to him to be able to perform. So if she's talking to the man in a disrespectful manner, it's like going to stand on the tubes that feed the balloon.
Wow.
And stopping it from getting inflated and full of the respect that is deeply rooted in him. He needs it. A man needs the respect. So she stands on it and it's not being fed again. So he's not being fed. And likewise, if he speaks to her, relates to her in a manner that does not show the love and care, it's like standing on the tubes that feed the balloons and feed her and say, okay, I'm depriving your source of love and care, and she doesn't get fed. So then the whole thing switches.
So they are killing each other.
They are killing each other. The conflict, the issue, if it's an issue, how they address it may cause one person or both of them to step on their tubes and block the respect from flowing, block the love from flowing. And so it shifts from what is at the center, like this thing here, the source of the conflict, and it goes to, why are you blocking me? My source, what
why
is
are you
feeding me? What is
Okay.
feeding me? Why are you not giving me the love? Why are you not giving me the respect? This is thrown aside, and then
that is what we have. And we can okay, so that makes sense. So people bring issues and they are talking about it, and you can't get a head or tail about it. So you try. He hit me. He said this. He did that. But that is not even the issue
that's
at
not
all.
an issue at all.
The issue
And it can build up. It can build up. It can be a week's thing. It can be 6 months, because every time the issue is not confronted
so that means
and dealt
it's very
with,
important that we resolve the core issue.
Yeah.
And so when we don't resolve the core issue, like let's say the skip we watch, if they don't resolve the core issue, how does it lead to the domestic abuse?
Okay, so you could see that the woman was hurt that the man seems not to care. So let's take it hypothetically. The call never came, and the woman never saw the call, right? So the man goes to work and he comes back. The woman is angry. So these are two of one things that will happen. Maybe they will come. His food will be served, but maybe it will be cold. or his food will not be served at all. It will be left in the kitchen, you know, or his food will not be prepared at all. And you may tell him that the landlord had an argument with me and I couldn't prepare your food. You see, and it will lead to the man.
So it means she's trying to control or get back somehow.
Yes.
more of get back
somehow. Okay.
So that is one part of domestic abuse.
Okay.
Control, because she's in charge of the food. So she knows the man cannot cook. Okay. So I'm going to hold the food.
So she's controlling.
She's controlling.
Interesting.
So now, then let's take it hypothetically. The woman is more sexually active than the man. So they go in bed and the man now denies sex. That's a sexual abuse. Mm-hmm. So now from rent to control, sexual abuse. So now they are in bed and they are, how do you call it?
Getting intimate.
The man has decided not to perform his duties as a man. And the woman too wants it, and the man says, I won't give you. it can go to exchange of, how do you call it, of words, and they may decide to sleep separately. So now they are withdrawing from each other. That's one of the worst ways to resolve a conflict, keeping away from each other. So now they'll sleep in separate rooms.
Economic abuse.
Good. So now when it happens that way, the man would leave the following morning going to work, and he would decide not to leave money because okay, me too, I will show you. So economic abuse. I'm not going to give you money to take care of the house. So you see, from rent.
I think we are getting a lot of clues today.
So from rent, it ends up at this place. Good. So when it's not properly resolved, when it's not properly resolved, this is where it gets to. And when it gets to this extent, it becomes bad. Now, everyone takes an entrenched position.
So it means you will be abusing, you also, the two of them will be trying to get at each other. So the cycle is still going.
Yes, so the cycle keeps on going. But here is the, how do you call it? Here is the thing. You see, now, when you're a man and you're a Christian man, you don't let the cycle continue.
So you have to cut the cycle.
You have to cut the cycle at a particular point. Because when you read Ephesians, you see, anytime God is saying something, the instruction is given first to man, then the woman. Why? Because he is the leader.
Head. Okay.
So now you see that the man is told in Ephesians that love your wife. The respect is a bonus as a result of loving your wife. Biblically, the wife is not supposed to give respect first. The man is supposed to love first. So that's why when you see it is written, love
as you love yourself.
Good. Yeah. So he says that they say that a man would love his wife as Christ loved the church.
That's deep.
The Bible never said the woman would submit to the husband as the church submits to the church to Christ.
I hope your fellow men will be supporting you.
See,
but
that's what the word really.
I know.
Good, because we are Christians and we have to have a renewal of mind. And a renewal of mind does not come by prayer. It does not come by fasting. It does not come by impartation. It comes by a conscious effort. Wow. So you may be a pastor, you may do all the anointing, you may carry all the grace, but if you don't consciously learn how to renew your mind, if you don't consciously learn how to love your wife,
it's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a problem. Yeah. So the cycle is going to continue because you are going to lead it on. Like I said initially, when God commanded the man, you may eat from all the trees, but except this one. When the woman ate the fruit, God did not appear. Because the instruction was not given to the woman. The instruction was given to the man. So when the man added his mouth to the eating, that was when it became critical. Then God said, man, I instructed you.
I think viewers, we are learning a lot, and I think if anybody is in conflict or you find yourself in a situation where you are trying to do something to get back, then I think you are in a crazy cycle. And if you want that thing to resolve, try and find ways to block it or end it so that nobody gets back at each other. So, when two people are not getting along, it means the two cannot do things together to fulfill the big commission or take dominion. So then the enemy is using that to distract us from what the two union is supposed to be beautiful, rather becomes such pain and a place we don't want to be. I think we've dwelt enough about that. I think what we need to talk about are the ingredients that is essential for effective conflict management. I think we mentioned some along the line, but I want us to highlight on it because we need some of these soft skills. So what are the ingredients for effective conflict management? We know how we get into it. How do we get out of it?
Okay, so let me...
the ingredients, the ingredients, for instance, having the ability to listen, having the ability to be patient, and in spite of whatever may be going on, have it at the forefront or the back of our minds that we have to give love, we have to give respect. It doesn't go to say that a man should not respect his wife. A woman also needs to respect. Because if you talk to her anyhowly, you rubbish her, she will certainly feel very much unloved. And when a woman does not feel loved, most invariably, her reaction will be read as disrespectful, because that she'll lash out.
Wow.
Most women will lash out unless she's learned how to control herself, control her emotions. And then there's the need to be able to hear your partner's need.
Okay.
Whatever your partner is putting across, be able to hear and understand it and be on the same page with your partner.
So that means when the person is saying something, you should use some of the effective communication or feedback. Is this what you mean? Instead of assuming.
Instead of assuming.
Okay.
This
No
thing
assumptions.
that you said, what do you mean by it? And the other partner should take it, okay, and explain, and not see it as, why are you asking me that?
So that means even from the skit, when the man, the woman saw the note, and then the man said, oh, I mean, he can't pay next week. She could have been like, but baby, I saw money coming in. Where is it for? Or something. Instead
exactly.
of just to get more feedback.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
So feedback is very important.
Very important.
Okay.
Very important. And then when you listen to each other and you see that things are not going as it should. The crazy cycle, for instance, a part that we both skipped is there's a situation where when the man feels so confronted, may either flee or
fight.
Okay. And most of the time we find in our home settings that the man will say that, okay, it's okay, and he'll walk off. That's why the woman will say that.
Okay, that's what he said. He doesn't
care. Then she'll be following.
Okay.
No,
we all do something.
When you see that he doesn't want to engage at that point, and it's like, it's okay. You calm down, let him leave, give him his space. I mean, let him go and calm down. It means
you have to understand that he's getting irritated so you should leave him to...
In fact, sometimes we actually see that the person is irritated and very annoyed, or even frustrated. Let him be. Let him go.
Yeah, but I would interpret it as he's running away from the situation.
No.
He doesn't want to deal with what is going on now.
So
and that's why I'll follow him that, no, come back, come, let us finish before you go.
It's like,
can't go to work when we have not finished.
It's like two guys being confrontational. Either they walk away out of honor and respect for each other, or it will come to blows. Or guys, it will come to blows. We'll fight it out. We'll settle it right now.
Okay.
Or out of respect for you, I'm going. And the man, if he chooses to walk away, it's out of respect for you, the wife. I don't want to get to the point where I will hate you.
Okay.
Recognize that sign and let him be. And the man, when you've cooled down, don't sweep it under the carpet. Come back.
So we have to resolve the issue.
Because
other than that, I have to get you somewhere.
Yes, because the skit, for instance, could have gone the other way. The examples Kwame gave, the woman could have decided that, okay, I've heard everything. And she won't react the way the examples, she won't talk about it. She won't say anything. Then maybe 6 months down the line, another issue comes up. There's an unresolved issue from the skit. The example, there's an unresolved something going on. So that one too
will come back.
So
recall.
They are recall. So they are arguing. Then you hear, you cried the last time.
Oh.
And then reference will be made. When I was hurt and I was talking to you about it, you said you were going to work. But that thing could have been resolved. So we don't pile up. Sometimes in a lot of marriages, we find that there's layers and layers of wrongdoing, misunderstanding, and sometimes it makes the man go out or even the woman to cheat and sometimes it ends up in divorce. So it's very important to hear your partner, their need, listen, and it's important to resolve the issue. If you can't resolve it right there and then, come back later to the table, but make sure you resolve the issue and then move on. It builds and it fosters bonding.
Yes, because the bonding is what we want. We need to be able to be intimate, and we always think intimate is sex, but
no,
I think without intimacy you will not get good sex.
No.
Engineer Kwame, what will you add to the ingredients?
Okay, so with the ingredients of resolving a conflict, like I always say, you see, everything begins with a man and ends with a man. So even when you read the Bible, it says somewhere in the New Testament that when you have qualms with your wife, God does not even listen to your prayer as a man. Wow. So that means the woman can have an argument with you and her prayers will fly. But when you don't resolve it,
this is a principle that we should remember.
Your prayer will not fly.
Remember.
So you see, so as a man, you are the one in charge. You are the one who is steering the affairs of the home. The argument the conflict has come. Like you see in the play, the man was calm because he knew that the woman has perceived wrongly. And he didn't want to drag it. You know, most of the times conflicts are in two, how do you call it, in forms. There's one that is caused as a result of sin. You've gone to fornicate. You've how do you call it? You've gone to, let's say, abuse your wife's parents. That is different. There is one too that is caused by perception and preference. So when it's a preferential issue, as the man, that's where the emotional intelligence comes in. You need to know that, oh, this argument is as a result of preference.
Okay, so emotional intelligence.
Good.
Yeah.
Active listening.
Active listening.
Effective communication.
Effective communication.
So these are some of the skills.
Yes.
You need to, how do you call it? So as you listen to her submission, you would know that, oh, this is as a result of
misunderstanding.
Perception. Okay, we are going to Accra. We should use motorway. No, let's use Spintex Road. Oh, the last time we used motorway, there was a traffic. Oh no, I have checked on Google Map. There's no traffic. Let's use, how do you call it? That's a conflict. So the man, you can decide to drag it or say, okay, fine, let's pass Spintex. Case closed.
Okay, so we have to manage our perception and even our expectations.
Our expectations.
So that's another one.
Yes.
And forgiveness, we haven't mentioned because the lady,
it's very
the lady in the skate,
Good.
I think that's what calmed down everything.
So now I'm coming to the forgiveness. You see, so like I said, conflicts are in two, how do you call it, forms. One that is a sin, that's the one that needs forgiveness. That's the one that you need to talk about it. Let's say you've fornicated, you've been caught. Accept. Ask for forgiveness. The other partner too should be ready to forgive. And it shouldn't repeat itself. But you should remember that the other partner would forgive but would not forget. So you shouldn't put up triggers that would recall such a situation. So that is when you are dealing with conflicts that are as a result of sin. Okay. So you should know that there are two. So if it's a sin, you resolve it differently. If it's one that has to do with perception and preference, that one too has to be handled with emotional intelligence, listening, and
offenses.
Good.
Okay, so offenses is the sin.
Good. Yes.
You've seen something against me. Okay.
And we must know that the word says in Ephesians 4:32 that we should learn to be kind to each other, and in being kind with each other, God demands of us to be forgiving of each other. We are not to, he says that love covers all things, all sins, you know. It does not mean that you are not aware of what is going on, and it does not give the ticket to the offending party to also continue doing. No, we should apply wisdom to what we do. He also tells us in his word in Romans 12:18, for instance, so long as it depends on us, we should dwell peaceably with each other. It does not mean peaceably with my neighbor alone. My husband, my wife, that's where it starts from. Okay. Learn to dwell peaceably with your mate. Okay. Learn to dwell peaceably with, and you shouldn't always be at each other's throats. Yes, conflicts will come. We shouldn't always see it negatively. Sometimes they come to build us up, to strengthen us.
Okay, a way to grow.
To grow. So, I mean,
okay.
God, when the scripture that says that when God likens how he treats us to the silver smith. He puts the silver in the fire, but then he keeps his eye on the silver so that he doesn't miss the time that it becomes its brightest, right?
Okay.
In the same way in marriage, we'll go through the fire, which is conflicts, which is trials and temptations and all those things. Okay. But we have to keep our eye on our focus on the big picture and allow God to use whatever is happening to build us up, to strengthen our bond, to strengthen the land. And we are setting examples for the children we've been blessed with. What example are we setting? I mean, what are we teaching them? We made reference to culture. We want to move away a little bit from culture and rely heavily on the standard that God has given us, because we want to grow something permanent. We want to grow generations to come, 10,000 generations to come, something concrete, something they can hold on, and not this issue of breakups, leaving marriages, killing ourselves. No, we want something
we've been hearing
stronger.
terrible things,
terrible things these days.
Okay.
And we really have to take a good look at how we handle our conflict.
I think what I would add is positive regard in terms of how we approach each other. Yeah. I think somebody talked about respect.
Yes.
So how we talk becomes very important. And I think understanding God's purpose for making man and woman, it also plays into conflicts where you know our role, and also understanding the dynamics of conflicts. Because today we've talked about the dynamics of conflict in a way I've never really looked at it before, in terms of understanding why the man is doing this, understanding why the woman is the man is withdrawing, for instance, understanding why the woman feels she's being uncaring. Because what you are saying, she kept on saying, you don't care. The man says, you disrespected me. And then the end, and so about negotiating and compromising. It's a nice blend of negotiating and compromising. I think we have to conclude at this point, but before we go, what will you tell couples in conflict? What will you tell from all that we are learning? What will you tell couples in conflict? What will you say?
I'll say to the couple that today we've addressed a lot concerning how the man reacts, but bear in mind that the woman also has a way of withdrawing. If you're a man and you see your wife not responding like she used to, it could be because the same things that she's been hammering on and you don't pay heed or you trivialize. It's come to she's hit the wall. It's come to a point and she's realized that no matter what I do, this man is not going to take me seriously, or he's not going to handle this thing. And she will stop performing her role as your helpmate. Wow. She will stop being the companion that you need at home. So you'll be walking there and feeling that, okay, now I have a peaceful home, everything is calm. You are living, excuse me, in a fool's paradise. In fact, you'll be living there because immediately you see those signs, you should know that trouble is in your home. There's fire in your home. The one who is supposed to be your eyes and ears and everything, she stopped. She stopped. And you think you have peace. So she can see you walking into the fire and she won't say anything to you. She won't say a word to you. And you walk straight into it.
I'm sure that is why maybe somebody will say, I don't know why she now says she wants a divorce.
Yeah,
when everything was okay.
Everything was okay. Everything was not okay.
Okay.
You know, it's the same thing for the man. If you, the woman, you keep hitting, he will withdraw. He starts much earlier than a woman's own. A woman out of care will be persistent, will go much longer. But when you show a man the disrespect 1, 2, 3, he tells you in his own words that you are not respecting me. Everybody respects me by you. And you don't hear. He will also withdraw and you also be like, he's not like before. I mean, check, look back and see, look at the things.
Something, I think we've given enough clues for you to see
see whatever. And men don't trivialize, women also don't trivialize whatever your partner complains about, because we've seen even from the skit that it can be something really trivial, not important. You spilled water on the floor, and then I come, hey, quick, Kwame. It's insured now. What she go? Oh, it's insured today. I mean, you know, it's important to her. That's why she's pointing it out.
Wow.
You know, women, let's not be nagging. Let's take the clues, the cues here and there, and know when to withdraw. Let our men be. Men, come back. Resolve the issue when you're okay.
Engineer.
Okay, so like you asked, those in conflict, what do they do? It's two things. If the conflict is as a result of sin and he has to involve a third party, maybe your partner has gone in for a side husband or a side chick, you would have to...
They call it side cock.
Okay, side cock. Okay,
I thought it was side chick.
No, there's a side chick.
Okay, so
the side cock.
Okay, so the side cock and a side chick.
Okay.
So if that is the case, then you should sit down, talk it out. Whosoever is guilty should accept his or her sins, and you guys should move on.
But you have to resolve the issue.
Yes, it has to be resolved. Like I said,
think that's one thing I've learned today.
It has to be.
You need to resolve what the issue is. Something brought in all those things.
Yeah. So whatever brought in that issue, no matter how trivial it is, the party who is at fault should accept. And let me give a hypothetical case. Let's say the man has gone to take in a side chick, and he's complaining that you don't bath before you come to bed in the night. He expects you that after all the bathing you've done, when he comes back home and you are going to bed with him, he expects you to bath.
Mercy.
It may be very trivial, and you may hardly call it, say you won't bath. And because of that, he's gone in for a hardly call it. Accept it. Don't try and add anything to it. That is what the person who's gone out says. That was what pushed him away. Don't trivialize it and don't say it is so, quote unquote, so stupid an excuse to cheat. That was what sent him out. Accept it, correct it, and get on with it. So
I think we have a lot of growing up to do, all of us.
And if it's a perception issue, then the man, you would have to, how do you call it? You would have to resolve that thing. If you let it go, and it's not going to kill you, let it go and show love. Because Bible says that as men, we should show love. We should show love first. Respect is a bonus as a result of love. So if you love someone, you would let the person have their way. And the women, don't abuse men who love you, because sometimes you would abuse because you've realized that your husband would give in anytime. So when it turns to abuse, the husband too can withdraw. So anyone in conflict at the moment should see what exactly caused
the issues
it.
are,
the issue.
And then deal with the issues.
Sometimes it may be as trivial as, oh, when I come to the house, you don't hug me.
It's not trivial.
But you see, the other party will see it, oh, hug, and so a dear, because then, how do you call it? Then a growing up and the upbringing comes in. He was brought up in a house where
nobody hugs.
Yes, no one hugs anyone. So why should I hug you?
Please, I'm not cutting in. You see, that's a problem I see with marriage couples. You know, you go to school. Maybe you want to be an engineer. You will learn everything about it. So you grow up not knowing anything about hugging. What stops you from learning about it?
So that's what you are learning now, that it's like
yes.
they're negotiating and compromising.
I mean,
you know, it's like sometimes coming out of...
Yeah, learn it. I mean, it won't kill you. It will actually make your marriage better, your relationship better.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to show love outside, and learn it. It won't kill you.
I think we've learned a lot today. For me, it appears as if my two wonderful people were interpreting codes, things that we see and maybe didn't understand what it meant, but they brought to light the meaning behind some of the things we do subconsciously. So I would say they interpreted a lot of codes for us, showed us a lot of dynamics that go on during conflict. And I think all of us need to examine the people we are calling our companion.
Yeah.
Are we really companions? Because it looks as if after the marriage, after the honeymoon phase, the bonding is not there because things have happened to break it up, but we are just going, you know, we are just okay to keep the peace and not really dealing with the unresolved issues, which then waters down the companionship, and we are not the lovey-dovey that is supposed to be. And I can see this affecting our sex lives, affecting so many other things, and even leading to divorce and breakup. Thank you so much for being patient with us and watching. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you really, you are really with us. I think it's time to open the floor for questions. We have other counselors behind the scenes, and all of us would answer the questions that come in. Thank you very much.